All right, let us continue with our final video on decision making. So now we go into group decision making because sometimes in organization we are bound to make a group decision making. We are forced to work in groups, and even in our group project phone for this particular code, each of the students is assigned to a different group, to a particular group, so that you have to find ways to work with the rest of your group members, and there is no other options. And so when you are in that kind of situation, so you are going to make a group decision making. Excuse me, I'm sorry. So group decision making is superior to individual decision making, in which choices are less likely to fall victim to bias, and then able to draw combined skills of group members. That is among the advantages, and then improve ability to generate feasible alternative, because instead of you are making that decision alone, in group decision making there are more heads involved, and of course we would be able to generate more feasible alternatives. Potential at disadvantages, however, it can take much longer times, especially when you have many dominant player in that particular groups. So everybody do not want to back down in terms of their ideas, their thoughts, their opinions, and whatnot. And this might lengthen the time, or this might allow more time to be taken in order for you to make a particular decision. And then can be difficult when to get two or more managers to agree because of different interests and preferences. I believe that we are all have this type of experiences before, but we need to be aware that our objective is to make a decision, and then can be undermined by biases. Sometimes, yes, biases might occur. Favoritism, because of departmentalism, and then there are lots of biases that might involve, especially when we are working in groups. So, under the group decision making, one of the situation that might occur is groupthink, in which this is a pattern of faulty and biased decision making that occurs in groups whose members strive for agreement among themselves at the expense of accurately assessing information relevant to a decision. So sometimes we might put aside our strong opinion or belief with regards to a particular issue, even though that we know that we are on the right track, but because we want to confirm to the group thing, to what the majority is deciding, so we might as well agree with that particular decision. So that is a group thing. Devil's advocacy and also dialectical inquiry is also another form of group decision making. So devil's advocacy, in which you present chosen alternative, and then the group members will critique, and then we will reassess chosen alternative, whether accept, modify, or reject. In dialectical inquiry, so the first one will present alternative one, and then maybe the same person will present alternative two, or could be a different person, and then we allow some debate to occur between alternatives, and then we will reassess whether to accept one or two, or we combine between the two options that we have. Organizational learning seek to improve an employee's desire and ability to understand and manage the organization and its task environment. Learning organization is one in which managers try to maximize the ability of individuals and groups to think and behave creatively, and thus maximize the potential for organizational learning to take place. Creativity, a decision maker's ability to discover original and novel ideas that lead to feasible alternative courses of action. So, how can you become a better decision maker? How can organization cultivate quality decision making among the members or the managerial posts in the organization? They can do this if they adopt towards becoming an organizational that foster learning in the organization. And then because through organizational learning and by becoming learning organization, we would allow our employees to become more creative in terms of making decisions or in other things that they do in relations to the job scope within that organization. Senge's principles for creating a learning organization: number one, develop personal mastery, and then build complex, challenging mental models, promote team learning, and then build shared vision, and then encourage system thinkings. So these are the things that we as a manager can try to encourage our employees to practice in order for us to create a learning type of organization. So how can we promote group creativity? How can we get better idea, better outcomes from the group decision making? Number one, we can do this by brainstorming. Managers meet face to face to generate and debate many alternatives. The whole idea of brainstorming is for us to get as many possible ideas, and we are not going to critique the feasibility of the ideas, whether or not it is reasonable or not reasonable ideas. We are just going to jot down any ideas being presented by the team member. Production blocking: there might be a loss of productivity in brainstorming session due to the unstructured nature of the brainstorming. And then the next one is nominal group technique. This is a decision making technique in which group members write down their ideas and solutions, read their suggestions to the whole group, and discuss and then rank the alternatives. So useful when an issue is controversial and when different managers might be expected to champion different courses of action. So we sit down and then everybody has their own idea, and then their solutions, and then we share them, and then each of the group will decide in terms of which of the idea or solutions that they prefer. So that is an example of a nominal group technique. And then Delphi technique, important criteria is that you are not going to meet face to face, but you will be writing based on the questions posed by the group leader. So in this topic as well, we are going to discuss a little bit on the entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurs who are individuals who notice opportunities and decide how to mobilize the resources necessary to produce new and improved goods and services. Why we are talking about entrepreneurs in this particular chapter or quote? Because nowadays all managers, they need to have some entrepreneurial attitudes or orientation in themselves in order for them to become better managers. And then social entrepreneurs are individuals who pursue initiatives and opportunities and mobilize resources to address social problems. So when you deal with social issues, social needs in order to improve the societal punya well-being through any form of creative solutions, that can classify you as a social entrepreneur. And entrepreneurs are managers, scientists, or researchers who work inside an organization and notice opportunities to develop new or improve products or better ways to make them. Or in many large organizations or multinational corporations, they develop special business unit department within their organization, so that these people, instead of they leave the organization and set up their own company, the organization would allow them to be creative and to identify new products, new inventions, new creations, creativity that they can develop for the benefit of the organization. So some of the characteristics of entrepreneurs: they're open to experience, internal locus of control. Of course, they should have high self-esteem and high need for achievement. And finally, entrepreneurship and organizational learning. And a manager who takes ownership of a project and provides the leadership and vision that take a product from the idea stage to the final customer. And then Skunk Works, a group of entrepreneurs who are deliberately separated from the normal operation of an organization to encourage them to devote all their attention to developing new products. In many of the Japanese company, they have developed this skunk works or group of individuals who are totally separated from the whole normal operation of the company, and these people, they are going to work on special project in terms of new product development and everything. So in this textbook, they call them as the people who are categorized as skunk works. So that would be pretty much about chapter decision making. So please look at all three videos relating to this particular chapter, and then all the best.